I'm Harrison Graham, and this is Chicago Bears Now. We got a lot of stuff to get into today. The Bears and Giants released their latest injury reports. Pretty crowded for both teams. We'll dive into that. Plus, it was Coordinator Thursday at Hallis Hall. We heard from all three coordinators. Nothing earth-shattering from Declan Doyle, but we will react to some of what Richard Hightower said about his struggling special teams unit. And Dennis Allen had some thoughts on Montez Sweat, who's been trending up in recent weeks. So I want to dive into that as well. Before we get into the bulk of today's show, we got a little subscriber battle for Week 10. Bears now, Giants now. We've picked up 383 new subs this week. They've picked up 206. Let's drop the hammer in this competition so we can drop the hammer on game day. Let's go. If you want free and daily Bears content, all you got to do is subscribe. Before we get to the injury news of the day, this kind of is injury news because Amen Ogbongbemiga had been on short-term IR. He has been activated. I think this is a sneaky, smart move by the Bears to activate Amen O. Carl Jones has been cut. Do want to mention real quick that Brad Biggs had this note before the Bears tweeted it out, and that Carl Jones will likely be re-signed to the practice squad. He's played a decent amount on special teams this year. I'm guessing they debated between him and DeMarco Jackson. But speaking of special teams, the reason I think this is potentially a sneaky good move is you've been atrocious on special teams. And we'll talk about this a little bit later on when we hear from Richard Hightower. But Amen O was signed to this team last year and was re-signed this year because of his contributions on special teams. So hopefully he can have an impact there because, good golly, the Bears need it. It's been a rough go. Okay, let's talk injuries now. TJ Edwards did not practice for a second straight day, listed with the hand/hamstring designation. I think that hamstring part of it is the concern, and that's what caused him to miss time earlier in the year. It leads me to believe that he has re-aggravated that injury. I do not expect him to play this week, which is obviously a bummer because since he's come back, him and Tremaine Edmunds together have played pretty darn well in that linebacker tandem. So he did not practice. Neither did Josh Blackwell, who's in the concussion protocol. I think it's safe to say that he's not going to play. Here on Sunday, Dom Robb still dealing with that high ankle sprain. Probably going to miss at least another week, if not two. Joe Thuney, Thursdays have been his veteran rest day. He was not out there today, but he is obviously fine. The following players were limited. Kevin Byard, who was a DNP yesterday, so that's a good sign that he's trending toward playing on Sunday. Roschon Johnson, limited for a second straight day with that back injury. We'll see if he goes this week. DJ Moore, who's been nursing that hip groin issue, he was limited after not practicing yesterday. And then Rome Odunze, also, who was a DNP yesterday, was limited today with an ankle/heel. They're both dealing with stuff. I think they're managing kind of those pain tolerance issues right now. And I will say this, I think Odunze's heel ankle situation, I do think it's impacting his route running. So I think that's part of why his production has dipped here in recent weeks. The following players were full. Kyle Monangai, he's good to go. DeAndre Swift, limited yesterday, full today. I kind of debated, do you give him another week off, make sure he's fully healthy, but if he's fully ready to go, I mean, I expect him to be back on Sunday. Luther Burden was full for a second straight day. I don't know if he's technically literally cleared concussion protocol, but that would be an indication that he has or is going to soon. Cole Kmet, full. I mean, it's rare when a guy gets concussed and plays the next week, but he's trending toward doing that, so that's a very good sign for the Bears. And then Amen Ogbongbemiga, who was on IR, has now been activated. He's been a full participant for weeks, but he is ready to go. Okay, for the Giants, they've got a lot of guys who did not practice. Paulson Adebo, their top corner, he's probably out. Bo Collins, a receiver, he's likely out as well. Victor Dimukeje with a shoulder injury. Graham Gano with a neck injury. They've had kicker issues all year. They may have to bring someone in. I think Younghoe Koo might be on their practice squad, so he might be called up. Chauncey Goldson, one of their depth pass rushers. Darius Mauzau as well. John Michael Schmitz and Andrew Thomas was a rest day, but JMS, their starting center, if he can't go, they'll be down to a backup. Jermaine Illuminor did not practice yesterday, was limited today, so probably trending toward returning to the field on Sunday. Thomas Fedone and Demetrius Flanagan Fowles were limited as well. Neville Hewitt, Javon Holland limited with that knee. Drew Phillips dealing with that calf. All these players trending up. And then all these guys were full. Daniel Bellinger, Dane Belton, Cordell Flott, who missed last week with a concussion. He's arguably been their best corner this year. Theo Johnson and Raheem Nunez-Roches Sr., all full participants today, so a sign that they will be ready to go. Okay, those are the latest injury reports when it comes to the Chicago Bears, but I want to tell you guys about our sponsor real quick. That is PrizePicks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. It's very easy to navigate the PrizePicks app, as you can toggle by sports and then specific stats. As you start to make your lineups, you just pick more or less on stat projections for 2 to 6 player lineups, and if you hit, you win money. PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. If you want to pick more on Caleb Williams' pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns, you can right now only on PrizePicks. For this upcoming weekend, I already have a 2-player lineup that I feel good about. I like the more on passing yards with both quarterbacks, Caleb and Dart. Caleb's been trending up in terms of his passing volume recently, and Jackson Dart's not going to throw for 470 like Joe Burrow, Flacco, it doesn't really matter. Look the same to me, but I do think he hits 200 plus. So $20 lineup to win $55. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. All right, Richard Hightower, he has been under fire from Bears fans, and look, rightfully so. I mean, a year ago, and I've said this, his unit was very good. This year, it has not been, and he talked about the special teams issues today. He said, obviously, that's not our best brand of football, talking about the coverage units and just overall against the Bengals, and I take responsibility for it. The players look in the mirror and take responsibility for what they do, too. Look, his unit just hasn't been good. I think the punt team has been good. I think Torrey Taylor's been booming them recently. The coverage on that unit has been solid. Kickoff coverage unit, really bad. Kickoff return unit, outside of 1 or 2 splash returns, not very impactful. You obviously had a mistake on special teams, which he explained that, Daniel Hardy didn't get far enough upfield on that one, and that's why it ran into his leg. It's always weird. Do you blame field goals on the special teams coordinator? Like, that feels a little stretchy. I think the only thing you can say is if he gives you a number of a player's range and it's nowhere close, then that could be on the special teams coordinator. But even that's probably more on the kicker. But he did sound off on Cairo Santos not having a great day over the weekend. He said, we didn't have a good operation on the miss. We were fortunate to have it called back. That's when they went for it on 4th and 1. It ended up scoring a touchdown, so it kind of worked out. On the block kick, we didn't have C-gap present. And that's just, that's one of those deals where we saw that last year in the block field goal against the Packers. They didn't have the proper protection, which cost them a game. And I've been saying this. At some point, special teams is going to cost you because you're getting killed more than anything else in the field position game. You're giving up a touchdown to Cincinnati. They're getting several more returns past the 35, if not past the 40. You're rarely even getting to the 30. So, it feels like, on average, you're minus 10 in terms of kickoff yards, field goal, or field position. And that adds up over the course of a game and over the course of a season. So they've got to be much better on coverage, and they have to get more out of their kickoff return unit. Hopefully Luther Burden being back this week helps. Cairo Santos. Look, I've always been a Santos defender in the sense of, he doesn't have the biggest leg, and that comes with limitations. But when he's in range, he's very accurate. This proves that. He's 90% on field goal attempts before this year. Yes, his career long is 55, so he's not banging in 58, 59, 60-yarders like certain guys around the league are. But when he's in range, he's very steady, and a lot of teams would love to have that. Here's the problem. 11 for 14 in a vacuum doesn't sound too bad, but that's over 10% drop-off. If you're sub 80% and you have a weak leg, that's problematic. That is problematic because there are certain kicks you cannot even try when Cairo Santos is your kicker, where the majority of the league can at least attempt those kicks, even if they aren't as consistent and as accurate as Cairo. The problem is this year, in a lot of these weeks, even on some of his makes, he doesn't seem to be kicking the ball as straight and as solid as he has in the past. Even on that block, I felt like that was a low kick that was already starting left. I'm not saying it wouldn't have gone in, but it didn't feel like he struck the ball as well as he has in the past. So it sounds like he's going to be the kicker another week here, but like this is a week-to-week thing at this point. Like if he goes out there and has a couple misses, I would not be shocked if Jake Moody, who's waiting in the wings in the practice squad, gets another opportunity. He's 8 for 9 in his 2 games. We know he has a bigger leg, and you can try from mid-late 50s with him, even late game scenarios, 60+. You can trot him out there, and he at least has a chance to make it. Would I trust him on, just typical kicks in terms of to hit 90% like Cairo has the last 5 years? Probably not, but at least I can extend his range. And like I said, right now, Cairo's not hitting at that 90% clip. If he was, you can live with it. But the fact that he hasn't been, that's where you start to get concerned and you start to say, okay, how long is this worth it before you go with the bigger-legged guy and a guy like Jake Moody? Pick a kicker. Who would you rather have out there? Type CS for Cairo Santos. Type JM for Jake Moody. Let me know in the comment section below. I understand both sides of it from the Bears thinking, but I will say my patience is wearing thin. All right, let's talk about Montez Sweat. Dennis Allen talked about his reemergence here and how he's been playing as of late as he's finally, kind of looking like the player the Bears paid for when they traded for him a couple of years ago. Here's DA on Montez Sweat. He says he's been performing really well for us all around, run game, pass game, so it's good to see him get the stats to go along with it. A lot of times there's some hidden production. I still think there's a lot of meat on the bone in terms of what we can get out of that. You look at his past 3 games, he's got 3 sacks, 4 TFLs, a forced fumble, a couple of pass breakups. He's been active. I mean, we're calling his name multiple times every single game during these watch parties, and you want to have your name called as a defensive lineman unless it's for a penalty. And it felt like for chunks of last season and early this year, it's like, I haven't said Montez Sweat's name in weeks. Well, we're saying his name at least once every week, and that is a good thing. I think this has clearly been his best more than 2-game stretch since the second half of 2023 when the Bears traded for him, and he had the best stretch of his career, especially as a pass rusher. He's graded in the 70s per PFF, both as a pass rusher and a run defender this year. So feels like he's healthy, feels like he's active, feel like he's kind of taking on carrying the weight of, hey, we're not getting a lot out of this front four. Like, I got to step my game up. I'm the guy making $25 million per year. I still wouldn't say I've seen enough to say he's living up to that right now, but he's played a lot better this second month of the year compared to the first month and certainly last year. So hopefully that trend continues because this Bears defensive line needs to generate pressure. Is Montez Sweat back? Or bike, as some would say. It's an inside joke in the office. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Is he back? Let us know what you guys think. My name is Harrison Graham. We're back every single day here on Chicago Bears Now, so hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. Let's take down Giants Now and new subscribers this week. And speaking of Giants Now and Marshall Green, I filmed a full preview episode with them. That'll be on the channel soon, so be sure to check that out. Bear down.